At 7:18 a.m. local time, the Caribbean Sea is unusually calm. The kind of calm experienced sailors notice right away. The water is flat, the wind is light, and visibility stretches well beyond 10 nautical miles. For a U.S. Navy carrier strike group, these are near-perfect operating conditions. Nothing is concealed, nothing feels unstable, and there is no obvious reason for concern, until the radar picture suddenly changes. Inside the Combat Information Center, aboard USS George Washington, the quiet routine is broken by a radar operator's voice. Contact bearing 2110. Multiple surface returns. Not one contact, not two. 5 appear almost at the same moment, moving in a coordinated pattern that immediately stands apart from normal maritime traffic. Initial range, 21 nautical miles. Speed steady, course converging directly across the strike group's planned path. No one makes a joke. No one asks for repetition. Civilian traffic does not move like this. On the bridge, the captain of USS George Washington studies the tactical display without changing posture. The carrier, more than 100,000 tons of steel, continues on the same course at the same speed. No turn, no burst of speed, no early maneuver. In the U.S. Navy, changing course too quickly can send its own message. It can suggest uncertainty. Automated classification systems begin processing the returns. Hull geometry, superstructure layout, radar cross-section. The picture sharpens fast. Venezuelan Navy, 5 naval vessels, mixed formation. The distance closes to 16 nautical miles. The surface warfare officer reports in a calm, even tone. The formation indicates a deliberate intercept course. This is not a parallel shadow, not a distant escort. This is a blocking maneuver intended to cross the bow, limit movement, and force a response without a single shot being fired. A move designed to send a message without pushing the situation into open confrontation. USS George Washington transmits its first hail on the international bridge-to-bridge frequency. Unidentified Venezuelan naval vessels, this is a United States Navy warship operating in international waters. State your intentions. There is no response, no static, no broken signal, just silence. At 12 nautical miles, electronic support measures across the strike group register a surge of activity. Venezuelan search radars are now clearly active. Every emission is detected, analyzed, and logged. Frequencies, pulse patterns, power levels, every detail timestamped and stored. Inside the CIC, the atmosphere tightens, not from fear, but from focus. This is exactly the kind of situation crews train for again and again, the kind where every move is recorded and every decision carries weight beyond the moment. A junior officer speaks quietly. Recommend course adjustment. The answer comes immediately. Negative. Maintain heading. USS George Washington continues straight ahead, not out of defiance, but because doctrine supports it. International law, rules of engagement, and operational advantage all favor holding course. Changing direction now would not reduce the pressure, it would change the meaning of the encounter. Through long-range optics, the 5 Venezuelan ships are now visible. Gray hulls, low profiles, aging platforms, but moving with deliberate purpose. This is not a navigational mistake. They are testing response time, testing restraint, testing whether a U.S. carrier will flinch under pressure. At 8 nautical miles, no weapons are manned, no alarm sounds. Flight operations remain secured below deck. On the surface, everything still looks calm. Underneath that calm, every system is fully alert. USS George Washington is not responding with noise or sudden movement. It is responding with awareness. Every bearing change, every radar sweep, every second of silence is being documented. The carrier does not need to maneuver to show control. Its presence already does that. Then, quietly and without ceremony, a short internal order moves through the ship. Log everything, shift to condition monitoring. From that moment on, the encounter is no longer routine. It has become a record, and at sea, records matter. The distance continues to close. 8 nautical miles becomes 7, then 6. The Venezuelan formation tightens. Each ship adjusts course in small, precise increments. No abrupt turns, no erratic movement. This is disciplined navigation carried out with clear intent. Inside the Combat Information Center, aboard USS George Washington, the tactical plot updates in real time. 5 surface contacts, now clearly identified as Venezuelan naval vessels, are maneuvering to bracket the carrier's projected path. 2 ships move slightly ahead of the formation. 3 hold offset positions, spreading laterally. It is a textbook blocking pattern. From a distance, it still looks calm. 5 gray hulls moving across blue water. No smoke, no visible guns trained, no dramatic motion. But at sea, geometry tells the story, and this geometry is unmistakable. The Venezuelan ships are not trying to escort. They are not simply shadowing, they are positioning to deny space. At 5 nautical miles, their intent is no longer unclear. A second hail is transmitted, firm and controlled. Venezuelan naval vessels, you are approaching a United States Navy carrier operating in international waters. Maintain safe distance and alter course immediately. Again, there is no reply. What does change is their speed. Two of the Venezuelan ships add throttle, gaining several knots on the others. The move compresses the formation and sharpens the intercept angle. Their bows now point slightly across the carrier's starboard side, reducing the available sea room. In U.S. Navy terms, this is tactical pressure, a method smaller forces can use to force acknowledgement from a larger one. The goal is not collision. The goal is reaction. On the bridge of USS George Washington, the watch team remains steady. Helm orders stay the same. The carrier holds its line, leaving a clean white wake behind it. The reasoning is simple. The ship with the clearer picture does not surrender space without cause. Below deck, the strike group's sensors are fully engaged. Electronic warfare teams track every emission. Surface warfare officers annotate every maneuver. Nothing is viewed on its own. Every move is assessed as part of a larger pattern. The Venezuelan ships begin sweeping their radars more aggressively. The spikes in energy are obvious. This is not passive navigation. They are actively building a surface picture, and they know they are being watched as closely as they are watching. A brief exchange follows inside the CIC. Closest point of approach projected, CPA under 1 nautical mile if current courses are maintained. That is close. Close enough to make headlines, close enough to spark speculation, close enough to test discipline on both sides. Still, no alarms sound. The carrier does not maneuver. Instead, the documentation continues. At 4 nautical miles, the visual picture becomes sharper. Deck crews can be seen aboard the Venezuelan ships. Helmets, movement near the forward sections. Nothing openly hostile, but nothing casual either. This is not confusion, it is a signal. And for Venezuela, the calculation is as political as it is tactical. A direct clash with a U.S. carrier would be reckless. But creating friction, drawing global attention, and forcing Washington to respond carries its own kind of value. For the U.S. Navy, the calculation is different. Every unnecessary movement risks escalation. Every aggressive signal can be misunderstood. Control is not maintained through dramatic displays of strength, but through discipline. The carrier's presence already shapes the entire situation. At 3 nautical miles, one Venezuelan ship edges slightly ahead of the others. It is now clearly attempting to cross the carrier's bow. The maneuver is slow, controlled, and unmistakable. Inside the CIC, the voices remain calm. Contact altering course. Intent consistent with bow crossing. Roger. Continue to monitor. There is no urgency in the reply because in moments like this, urgency spreads fast. Above deck, the sea is still calm. From a distance, it could look like nothing more than ships moving through open water. But beneath that calm surface, every second is being logged, every action preserved. The Venezuelan ships continue to press. The U.S. Navy does not react outwardly. And that imbalanced pressure met by silence is beginning to define the encounter. Because at sea, the side forcing movement is not always the side in control. Often, control belongs to the side that refuses to move at all. As the distance continues to shrink, the most striking thing aboard USS George Washington is what does not happen. No alarms, no abrupt course corrections, no raised voices on the bridge. The carrier remains steady, its bow cutting cleanly through the calm Caribbean water, engines maintaining the same measured rhythm. To an untrained eye, it might seem passive. To anyone familiar with U.S. Navy operations, it is something entirely different. It is control. Inside the Combat Information Center, the picture is complete. Every Venezuelan vessel is tracked with precision. Bearing, speed, rate of turn, sensor activity. Nothing is left to guesswork. The strike group's awareness reaches far beyond the horizon, supported by satellites, passive sensors, and networked systems operating without drawing attention to themselves. This is how the Navy prefers to manage situations like this, quietly. A report moves across the consoles. Air picture clean, no fast movers, no rotary wing launch detected. That matters because the absence of air activity tells its own story. Venezuela is applying pressure, but carefully, close enough to provoke. Not close enough to justify a larger response. On the flight deck, there is no visible reaction. Aircraft remain secured below. Crews continue moving normally. Nothing is done for show. But below deck, readiness has already shifted. The carrier's escorts, destroyers, and cruisers supporting the formation are fully synchronized. Their sensors feed into a shared operational picture, giving overlapping coverage of the Venezuelan ships from multiple angles. Every ship in the strike group sees the same situation at the same time. There are no blind spots. Electronic warfare teams quietly catalog Venezuelan radar emissions, pulse repetition frequencies, sweep intervals, power modulation. What Venezuela sees as pressure is, in reality, exposure. Every second they transmit, they reveal more than they gain. On the bridge, the captain listens as updated projections come in. Closest point of approach calculations are refined. The margin is tight, but still manageable. No order is given to maneuver. In the U.S. Navy, movement is a signal, and signals are chosen carefully. A junior watch officer notes no change in their posture, still holding intercept geometry. The answer is measured. Understood. Continue to log. The Venezuelan ships are now within 3 nautical miles. Close enough for visual identification without optics. Close enough that a misjudgment could matter. Still, the carrier does not alter course. This is not stubbornness. It is doctrine. By holding a steady line, USS George Washington removes ambiguity. Any unsafe maneuver from this point forward belongs entirely to the opposing force. Responsibility becomes clear, recorded, and verifiable. Above the waterline, the encounter still looks uneventful. 5 ships, 1 carrier, open sea. Below it, another reality exists. The carrier systems are awake in layers: defensive, informational, analytical. Not because confrontation is expected, but because readiness is non-negotiable. The Navy does not intensify the situation in order to prepare. It prepares so that intensification becomes unnecessary. A quiet confirmation reaches the CIC, external ISR platforms available on short notice. No details are spoken aloud. None are needed. The message is simple. Options exist and options matter. The Venezuelan formation hesitates, not enough to call it a withdrawal, but enough to be noticed. Speed fluctuates slightly. Courses are adjusted again, as if searching for a reaction that never comes. They are pressing against silence. At sea, silence can be disorienting. It offers no feedback, no emotional signal, nothing to read. It forces the other side to make the next move without knowing how it will be received. The U.S. Navy understands that better than most. The carrier continues forward. The water parts cleanly at the bow. The wake remains unchanged. Every radar sweep, every course adjustment, every second of the encounter is being captured. Not for headlines, not for dramatic effect, but for the record. And in that record, one fact is becoming harder to ignore. The side applying pressure is not the side setting the terms. The side that remains steady is. The turning point does not arrive with noise. There is no alarm, no raised voice, no sudden maneuver. From the outside, almost nothing appears to change. The carrier maintains course. The sea remains calm. The Venezuelan ships continue their measured approach. But inside the strike group, a quiet transition takes place. A single decision is made, not to escalate, not to threaten, but to clarify. Inside the Combat Information Center aboard USS George Washington, the order is short and deliberate. Authorize airborne presence. There is no urgency in the words, no emphasis, just intent. Minutes later, on the flight deck, the stillness breaks, not with chaos, but with precision. An MH-60R Seahawk is brought topside. Its rotor blades begin to turn, slowly at first, then faster, cutting clean arcs through the morning air. Deck crews move with practiced efficiency, calm faces, exact motions. This is not a scramble. It is a signal. The helicopter lifts smoothly from the deck, climbing just high enough to clear the carrier's superstructure before banking outward. It does not rush forward. It does not circle aggressively. It heads toward the Venezuelan formation at a controlled altitude, well within established safety limits. Inside the Seahawk, sensors come alive. Forward-looking infrared, high-resolution optics, laser designation. Non-lethal, but unmistakable. Every system is synchronized. Every feed is live. From the Venezuelan ships, the helicopter is immediately visible. A U.S. Navy aircraft, low and steady, approaching from the carrier's starboard side. No weapons displayed, no aggressive posture, just presence. At 2 nautical miles, the Seahawk levels off. It does not cut across the bows. It does not sweep the decks. It simply holds position. Then a narrow green beam appears, brief, controlled, deliberate. The laser rests momentarily on the bridge of the lead Venezuelan vessel. Not a threat, a marker. You are seen. The radio transmission follows, calm and unmistakable. Venezuelan naval vessel, this is a United States Navy aircraft. You are conducting unsafe maneuvers in international waters. Your actions are being recorded. Alter course immediately. The message is repeated in Spanish. For the first time since initial contact, something changes. On the lead Venezuelan ship, movement becomes visible on the bridge. Figures step forward. Binoculars are raised. The bow wake begins to shorten. Speed drops by a knot, then another. Across the formation, the effect spreads. One ship eases away from its intercept line, another adjusts heading just enough to widen separation. There is no dramatic turn, no sudden withdrawal. But the geometry changes. Inside the CIC, the updates come quietly. Lead contact reducing speed. Formation cohesion degrading. CPA increasing. The Seahawk maintains its position, flying a steady orbit. Sensors remain fixed. The imagery is crystal clear. Hull numbers, deck layouts, crew positions. Everything is captured, time-stamped, and stored. This is not intimidation. It is visible documentation. The helicopter does not remain longer than necessary. After one final pass, wide, slow, unmistakable, it banks away and climbs, turning back toward the carrier. Behind it, the Venezuelan ships are no longer pressing forward. Their bows no longer angle across the carrier's path. Their formation begins to loosen, the pressure fading step by step in a way that leaves little room for doubt. Back aboard USS George Washington, there is no celebration, no commentary. The carrier never changed course, never increased speed, and never outwardly acknowledged the shift, because the objective was never to force a retreat. It was to establish the boundary. That message required no weapons, no collision, and no escalation. Only a clear demonstration that the situation was understood, documented, and under control. As the Seahawk returns to the flight deck and its rotors begin to slow, the Venezuelan formation continues drifting away. The ships remain visible, still present, but no longer positioned to block anything. The moment passes as quietly as it began, but from that point on, the encounter is no longer in question. It has already been decided. When the distance begins to open, it happens without announcement. The Venezuelan ships do not break away all at once. There is no hard turn, no dramatic reversal. Instead, the separation increases gradually, half a nautical mile, then another. Their courses diverge just enough to relieve the pressure without making the withdrawal look obvious. That, by itself, says a great deal. Inside the Combat Information Center aboard USS George Washington, the tactical plot reflects what everyone already understands. The encounter has shifted from confrontation to observation. The immediate risk of collision has dropped. The geometry no longer supports a blocking maneuver. The carrier holds course because there is no reason to change it. The Seahawk is secured on deck, its sensors are powered down, but the data remains. Every radar emission, every maneuver, every moment of silence, every brief hesitation, all of it has been logged. Not summarized, not interpreted, preserved. This is how the U.S. Navy closes an encounter, by completing the record. From a distance, the outcome might appear uneventful. No shots fired, no intensified warnings, no visible display of force beyond a single helicopter. But outcomes at sea are not measured by explosions. They are measured by control of space, control of narrative, and control of risk. By that standard, the result is clear. Venezuela applied pressure in order to force a reaction. The United States applied discipline in order to remove ambiguity. For a brief moment, the Venezuelan ships gained visibility. What they gave in return was far more valuable. Their operating patterns, their command behavior, their tolerance for escalation, their response to restrained pressure. They revealed exactly how far they were willing to go, and exactly where they were prepared to stop. For the U.S. Navy, that information matters more than any headline ever could. As the distance opens beyond 5 nautical miles, the Venezuelan formation settles onto a parallel course. Still present, still being watched, but no longer relevant to the carrier's movement. No further hails are exchanged, none are needed. The carrier strike group continues along its planned route. Operations remain uninterrupted. Air wing schedules do not change. Escorts maintain a standard posture. The sea returns to the quiet rhythm it held before the first radar contact appeared. But an encounter like this does not truly end when ships separate. It ends when analysis begins. Later, the data will be reviewed by analysts far from the Caribbean. Patterns will be compared. Assumptions will be tested. Future encounters will be shaped by what was learned here. That process never stops. It is deliberate, methodical, and invisible to anyone who expects conflict to announce itself with noise. This is the reality of modern naval power. Strength is not proven by the side that acts first. It is proven by the side that never has to. USS George Washington did not maneuver to prove control. It did not intensify the situation to establish credibility. It simply held course, maintained presence, and let professionalism do the work. The Venezuelan ships challenged a carrier strike group and discovered something essential. They were never confronting a single ship. They were confronting a system, one designed to observe, decide, and control without urgency. As the final range markers continue to climb and the contacts fade from immediate concern, the bridge watch rotates, the logs are signed, and the carrier moves forward, outwardly no different from any other day at sea. That is not coincidence. That is doctrine. Because when an encounter ends quietly, without force, without concession, and without uncertainty, it means control was never truly in doubt. And out here in international waters, that is the only outcome that matters.